Grand Rising, everyone. So, I'm back with another dream. So, this dream in particular, I usually have, it's like one of the dreams that repeat for me, but the dream is only really repeated maybe like 3 times throughout my life, but it's very significant when it happens. So, usually this dream starts off, well, I'll talk about how the one yesterday starts off, but the ones in the past usually start off the same way, and end in the same place, of course. So I'm hanging out with a friend. Maybe we're like going to a bar or someplace. I don't know where my friend was trying to take me. And this is like a really good friend, so I'm not really concerned about where we're going. I just know we about to have a lit night. So we're talking, I'm from New York City, so imagine just like talking in the streets, getting ready. You already pre-gamed a little bit. You ready to go to the club or to the bar or wherever your friend is about to take you. So we're chatting, we're talking, we're having a good time. And she takes me down some stairs and we're walking down the stairs. And in New York City, sometimes you have to walk down like a lot of stairs to get to like certain places. So we're walking down the stairs and I start feeling heavier and heavier the more I walk down the stairs. And the conversation's still going, but I'm starting to be concerned about where we're going. And once we get past this door, I realize where I'm going because I had these dreams before. And I beg her not to take me. I'm like, I don't want to go. Please don't. What are you doing to me? Why are you doing this? And I'm just having like a meltdown because once I realized where I was, I could not turn back because the door closes. And the only thing I can do is keep walking forward. So I'm like begging her, please, can we find a way out of this? Like, I don't want to be here. Why would you do this to me? I'm not ready for this. And she just tells me, holds my hand and tells me, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Just go through it. I'll be right here when you're done. Just go through it. And I'm like, no, fuck you. Fuck this shit. I don't know why you're doing this to me. And I'm like bawling. And then she leads me down the last stair and sits me down into this. Imagine a basketball court, right? But a basketball court way deep down into the ground, like, and then imagine, obviously, the courts and all that stuff gone, like the basketball court's gone. The only reason why I say basketball court is just thinking about how high the ceilings are. And then imagine 360 concrete. The floor is concrete. The walls are concrete. The ceiling is concrete. And that nasty, it's like gray concrete. And it's not even, it's very uneven. Where if you sit on it, like hurts your butt. Like somebody did a crap job. No windows. Complete darkness. That's where this bitch led me. So she lays me down on the floor. I'm still crying and bawling. Then she let go of my hand and then she disappears. And then I'm just left there crying and bawling. And then once I'm done crying and realizing that I have to go through this process, that's when everything starts. And I promise you'll get a better understanding of this place as I talk. It won't take long. So, images starts coming to me about like my past situations. It's kind of like, I figure it's kind of like being in like VR world in a way. It's like you're creating like a virtual reality experience, but you don't have to put on the gear. I guess that's why the place is like pitch black. And then basically it's like a box or a place, a dungeon that shows you different places and circumstances in the past that you have to deal with now. You know, it's kind of like a shadow work. You know, if anyone knows what that is. In shadow work, a lot of people like they sit in a dark room and they go through like different emotions, different feelings, different past traumas that still affect them, and they work through those emotions. Sometimes they scream, sometimes they cry, sometimes they reconcile with feelings of loss, and they really get to a place where they understand what they needed at that time, and then they give that to themselves, and then they're able to like move on. So yeah. And anyone who's confused about that, you should go look it up, shadow work. Because my dream will make a lot more sense. So basically, it seems like real life though when you go to this particular place. Let me call this place something. I'll call it I'll just call it the dark place. So when you go to the dark place shows you as if you're living it though. That's why it's so intense, because it's like the most intense as it can get. Because like, for instance, I'm not going to talk about like the particular situations that I saw, because it really doesn't matter, because the point is you go through your own trauma, you know? So basically it takes you back. Like, let's say you lost a puppy, for instance, and you're sad you lost the puppy, obviously, you know, whatever. So you lost a puppy. It takes you into the moment where you lost your puppy, but you're living it through the first person. So you feel all the feelings, you see everything you saw, and it's like a very intense way to do the shadow work. It's not that you're just thinking about it or you're seeing it back in your head. Like, the dark place really places you in those situations and you play it out as if you were there. So that's why it was so intense, and I didn't want to do it, because it would put me right back into the situations that made me feel anger or sadness or deep loss or deep regret. You know, all those emotions that I did not want to deal with. I was trying to have a poppin' night with my friend. You know, I'm trying to get lit. You know, probably getting lit to forget about these situations that I'm getting placed in front of now by the dark place, but I'm trying to get lit. Ain't nobody got time to be sitting up here in no dark place going through, you know, shadow work, forced shadow work at that, by my friend, you know? So when I'm in the dark place, the way it works is like, you can be in there for a couple of minutes, or you can be in there for a couple of years. And it's so daunting. Like, the feelings you feel when you know you're about to go through this and you don't know how long you're going to be there, and you know you're going to have to face some shit. So I was just like, fuck it, let me face whatever I have to face and do what I have to do, because I don't want to be here for years, you know? I want to just deal with what I have to deal with so I can just move on with my life. I don't want to sit in this place forever, you know? And so yeah. So I go through like a couple of scenes. One scene I'm like crying, bawling, because I'm feeling so much sadness about what's happening. And then another scene I'm angry, so I'm mad, I'm cursing out fucking people. And it really, it's like a liberating thing. And as I'm going through all these scenes and all these emotions, I'm rectifying situations with people and myself, and I'm overcoming I guess I'm transmuting all the negative feelings and emotions I felt, giving myself what I needed at that time, and then moving on into higher levels of myself and into Like, I literally feel lighter as the situations go on. It's kind of like a video game in a sense, because it's like you're going to from the different levels until you win. Or like a tournament, where you're like facing people, and as the tournament goes on, you're facing harder and harder opponents. But the only difference is the only opponent I'm facing is myself. And it's so much beauty in that too, because although I don't want to be there and I'm dealing with a lot of hard emotions, I'm getting lighter and lighter as the scenes play out, as the dark place is making me face all the things I don't want to face. And I'm feeling stronger and stronger and more positive as the scenes go on. So you end up feeling lighter and lighter, and when you're towards the end of your stint in the dark place. But usually the last scene is the worst, which is, that's kind of how life is. Once you get closer to the goal and you get closer to the end game, the destination for now, because, the destination and the end game is always moving. But once you get closer to, your goals, sometimes it's the hardest it gets. Just like in The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. He goes through that too. Like, he talks about how he went through all these challenges, and the worst challenges usually left at the end. So, when you feel like everything is coming at you and you're going through the worst challenges ever and you're trying to get to your goals, just understand that sometimes the worst challenges are towards the end. So right over this challenge could be what you were fighting for all along, So I get towards the end, and even though you kind of know when it's about to be over, you still don't know. It's really up for the dark place to decide if you work through all your emotions and all the things you were facing that you needed to work through at that time. So I'll fast forward to, because it doesn't really matter what happens there. It's a very personal thing. Just like it will be different from me, it will be different from you. So there's no point in going over details. But when I'm finished, all the lights turn on. And we're kind of like back at the end of the staircase where there's light. And my friend is still standing right there. And like, I hug her and I'm so happy. And I just feel so blessed and excited. And then she tells me, I knew you could do it. Like, I'm so happy for you. Like, you look so much lighter and so much better, And then we just move on. Like, the rest of the night is a blur. Like, I don't think we went to a club or anything like that. I think we just probably sat and talked or something. But the major thing about that dream that I wanted to bring up, obviously the shadow work, that's a whole nother discussion and topic, but the part that really came out to me was the fact that sometimes our friends, they may bring up things we don't like or force us to see ourselves in ways that we don't want to. And sometimes we get really mad at them for that. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to deal with that. And sometimes they force us to look at ourselves in ways that we don't want to. And we get angry with them because of it. But at the end of the day, real friends are honest with you. Real friends make you look at yourself in ways that are truthful. And in ways that they're not trying to hurt you, but they're just trying to make you better, like, and I hate saying make you better because that's such a weird thing to say, but they're basically showing you yourself in ways that you would other ignore. And Sometimes they make you deal with uncomfortable things about yourself that they know you're struggling with and that they feel that you need to overcome. Now, I'm not saying friends should do this all the time. Remember, I said I only had this dream like 3 times before. But sometimes friends that see you really struggling and really exhibiting bad habits or bad self-talk, or I should say negative habits or negative self-talk that's hindering you from progressing in your life and moving on, and they know it's because of things that you haven't dealt with, and they kind of want you to get out of that trap that you're creating for yourself. Real ones tell you about yourself. And you always gotta keep a couple real ones around, because it's easy to just sit in your despair than to overcome it. Because sitting in your despair is a very passive thing. Granted, the consequences are worse than just dealing with it, but dealing with it is a very active process. And me especially, I tend to be very passive about a lot of things. So don't get mad at your day ones for telling you what's real and making you actively deal with the things you have to deal with, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to be there on the other side to hold your hand and to hug you and to congratulate you because you conquered your demons. So find the beauty in that. Have the strength and the power to overcome anything that's troubling you. And take the time to sit with yourself and figure out what's bothering you and to transmute that negative into positive and to overcome anything that is afflicting you. And thank and love your friends. Especially those day ones that have been with you through everything and continue to be there in good and bad. Even when you get annoyed and curse them out and get upset because of the things they say. But deep down, you know, they're only doing it because they love you. So, until next time, continue to find the beauty through unfaithful expectations.